The year was 2147, and death was no longer the end. Not when the Neuroecho Division of Law Enforcement could extract the final fragments of a person's consciousness, their dying moments, stored in fragile neural pulses. But Detective Isla Quinn never trusted the tech. In a world where memories could be tampered with, truth was a slippery thing. She stood over the lifeless body of Dr. Lysander Voss, the renowned quantum scientist whose research in synthetic consciousness had changed the world, and maybe broken it. His lab was sealed tight, lined with biometric locks, quantum encryptions, and anti-surveillance nodes. No sign of forced entry. No weapon. Just a toppled chair, shattered glass, and his body slumped over the desk, eyes wide open, mouth frozen mid-breath. Isla slipped on her neural tap and connected to the echo rig. "Ready for sync," she said, keeping her voice steady. The technician beside her, a twitchy young recruit with shaky hands, nodded and activated the scan. A blue pulse shimmered across the crown of Voss's head, mapping the last remaining synaptic activity. The rig buzzed, then projected fragmented visuals on the holographic wall, a kaleidoscope of blurry images, warped sound, and disjointed time. And then, clear as day, a shadow moved through the lab. But it wasn't just blurred, it was missing altogether. No figure, no form, only the way the light distorted, the shimmer of air bending unnaturally around nothingness. "Invisibility suit," the tech whispered. Isla narrowed her eyes. "More advanced than anything on the black market. Ghostwire, maybe." She'd heard of them, a rogue syndicate of former engineers, quantum physicists, and AI architects who sold illegal tech to the highest bidder. No physical trace, no digital trail, just whispers in the darknet and the occasional ghost in a memory echo. The memory ended abruptly. No killer's face, no voice, just that warped shimmer and then darkness. Isla tapped her implant, sending the memory fragment to her private archive. She couldn't risk tampered evidence. Not after what happened last year, the case where someone rewrote an echo to frame a politician's rival. She exposed the truth, but it nearly cost her job. Since then, the higher-ups kept her on a leash. Outside the lab, the rain sliced through the sky in vertical lines, typical of the climate-controlled zones in Neo-Toronto. The city pulsed with synthetic life, neon signs dancing across skyscrapers, delivery drones weaving through traffic lanes, and below it all, a hum of data flows so thick you could feel them in your teeth. She took the magrail back to headquarters, watching a trio of kids on the platform through the fogged window. They wore augmented lenses and laughed at holographic pets only they could see. The world had changed, and Isla still wasn't sure if it had changed for better or worse. Back at HQ, her supervisor, Director Leon Navarro, was already waiting in her office, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "You're not cleared to run independent scans on high-priority victims," Navarro said flatly. "I had to be sure the echo wasn't doctored. This one smells like a cover-up." Navarro leaned forward. "We're talking about Dr. Voss. He wasn't just anyone. He was contracted by the Department of Defense and the Singularity Commission. This case is going to be a political nightmare. So don't chase ghosts." Isla didn't flinch. "I'm not chasing ghosts. I'm chasing someone who made themselves a ghost." Navarro studied her for a long moment, then slid a small data pad across the desk. "Then maybe this'll interest you. Last night, 3 hours before Voss died, someone accessed a classified neurocore terminal in the Genesis vault. Someone who didn't exist in our logs." Isla picked up the pad. The access pattern was unlike anything she'd seen, an unauthorized quantum sequence that skipped through encryption like it wasn't even there. It looked eerily familiar. She'd seen something like it once, back when she was still in cybersecurity, buried in the wreckage of a failed AI project. "What did the Genesis vault store?" she asked. Navarro hesitated. "Early prototypes of a neural mirror, the tech that lets someone upload their consciousness for digital immortality. But the project was shut down. Or it was stolen," Isla muttered. "And now someone's trying to erase every trace it ever existed." Later that night, she sat in her apartment, surrounded by silence. Her neural console buzzed softly as she connected to the encrypted memory again. She slowed the frame, examined the shimmer, traced the distortion. Then she saw it, Just a fraction of a second. The shimmer moved past a glass case, and in its reflection, for one heartbeat, a face appeared. Not fully, not clearly, but enough for her to freeze it. She magnified the image. Her blood ran cold. It was Dr. Lysander Voss himself. Isla stared at the frozen frame of Dr. Voss's reflection, her breath caught in her throat. If the shimmer in the memory echo was an invisibility suit, and the reflection belonged to Voss, then who was the corpse in the lab? She ran a deep-skin cross-check between the autopsy file and Voss's known DNA profile. The result returned within seconds. A 92% match. Close, but not perfect. The body wasn't a clone, but it had been genetically engineered to mimic Voss, just enough to fool basic scans. It was a decoy. She sank into her chair, mind racing. Why would a man like Voss stage his own death? He had prestige, wealth, and security contracts with the most powerful agencies on the planet. The only reason to vanish would be to escape something greater than power, something terrifying. Isla encrypted the image and fired off a message to an old contact, Milo Kestrel, a former neurosculptor who now worked in the underground memory black market. He owed her a favor from back in the days, when they both danced on the edge of legality. If anyone could identify the facial anomalies in the reflection or decrypt any hidden data in the echo, it was him. While she waited for his reply, she reviewed Voss's last research submissions. His final paper wasn't about invisibility tech. It was about synthetic identity persistence. In plain terms, a way for someone to replicate their mind, alter it, and insert it into someone else's body. Mindjacking. The ethical and legal barriers around mind transfer were strict. You couldn't even simulate a person's consciousness without a license from the Singularity Commission. But if Voss had created a rogue version, one that didn't just simulate but transferred and rewrote the host, it meant someone somewhere could be walking around with a stolen mind. And maybe that someone was now pretending to be Voss. Or worse, maybe Voss had already jumped into someone else's body and was erasing his past. Her console blinked. Milo's reply came through as a video call, his unshaven face and mismatched cyber eyes flickering on the screen. "Quinn," he said, voice raspy. "Whatever you just sent me, it's not just dirty, it's radioactive." "What do you mean?" "I ran the reflection image through a biometric distortion analyzer. It's been micro-layered with anti-recognition noise on the neural level. Not even high-tier facial ID systems would detect a match. But here's the kicker. That kind of masking can't be done from the outside. It has to be self-encoded at the moment the memory was created." "Voss hacked his own echo," Isla muttered. Milo leaned in, his expression more serious than she'd ever seen it. "Whatever he's into, it's deeper than black market tech. I found a code marker in the shimmer reflection. It matches something from a hidden server cluster I stumbled on last year. That server's nickname was Oblivion." Isla sat up straighter. "Oblivion? That's a ghost system. It was wiped during the AI Cold War." "Not wiped. Dispersed. Like a virus. Voss may have cracked the secret to memory-based self-replication. He didn't just fake his death. He's trying to outlive himself." The line cut off suddenly. Static. Then a blaring red alert on Isla's screen. Unauthorized trace detected. Neural link compromised. She yanked the neural tap from her temple just as her apartment lights flickered. In the next second, all her devices shut down. Someone was watching her. Someone who didn't want her talking to Milo. In the dark silence, a soft chime came from her door. A secure courier. She opened it cautiously and retrieved a small parcel with no return ID. Inside was a memory shard, an encrypted neurocrystal used to store single-use echoes. It had one label etched in microtext. For AYLA. LV. Her hands trembled as she slotted the shard into her backup viewer. The moment it connected, a holographic image of Voss appeared, his real, unedited self. "Isla," the recording said, voice calm, deliberate. "If you're watching this, I'm already gone. At least from a body you know. I didn't fake my death to escape punishment. I did it to stop what's coming." He turned slightly, revealing a wall of screens behind him. Footage of global leaders, surveillance feeds, even satellite data. "I built something meant to preserve humanity's best minds before the singularity. But the project was hijacked, twisted. They want to overwrite real people with programmed consciousness. Perfectly obedient replicas. Ghost Wire, the Singularity Commission, they're all involved. Voss leaned closer. They'll come for you. Because I embedded the only trace of the original algorithm into the echo you recovered. You're now the last link to the truth. Trust no one. Not even your department. Not even Navarro. The message ended. The shard sparked once, then melted from within, designed to self-destruct. Isla sat in the darkness, heart pounding. The conspiracy was bigger than she imagined. This wasn't just about one man's escape. It was about the end of identity as the world knew it. The next morning, Isla didn't go to HQ. She knew Navarro would have eyes on her now. Voss's warning rang in her head like a looping siren. Trust no one. She ditched her neural implants, turned off every smart device in her apartment, and left through a maintenance tunnel 2 floors below her building. There was only one place in Neo-Toronto left where you couldn't be tracked. The Gray Line sector, a dead zone of the city built before the neural grid existed. No augmented reality, no data fog, no surveillance. It was like stepping 50 years into the past. Isla met Milo in a rundown cafe that used analog lights and served real coffee from beans grown in microfarms. He slid a burner datapad across the table. I decrypted more of the shard Voss left. He buried metadata in the frame rate. Crazy stuff. There's a location in there. An old Singularity Commission black site on the edge of the Arctic Circle. She looked at the file. Coordinates. Building schematics. Archived personnel logs. And a chilling header. Subject 0. Identity seeding protocol. Live stage trial. They're testing it. Isla said softly. Right now. Milo nodded grimly. And Voss isn't the only one who uploaded himself. There are others. Cloned minds placed into willing or unwilling hosts. Imagine a city run by people who are not who they seem. That's when Isla noticed a flicker in the corner of her eye. Someone watching them through a reflective surface across the street. A polished delivery drone. It hovered too long. Move, she shouted. The cafe windows shattered as an invisible figure burst through the entrance, disrupting the light in a familiar shimmer. Milo dove for cover. Isla drew her pulse pistol and fired, but the beam passed through empty air, hitting the wall behind. The assassin moved fast, silent, calculated. Isla ducked behind the counter, then rolled and fired at the floor beneath the shimmer. The ceramic tiles exploded, and the figure faltered, sparking slightly. For a split second, a face flickered into view. Navarro. Isla's mind reeled. Her own boss. Voss had been right. The assassin's cloaking glitched, revealing full visibility. Navarro wasn't just helping Ghost Wire. She was Ghost Wire. Or perhaps someone wearing Navarro's face. Either way, it didn't matter. The two locked eyes. Navarro raised her weapon, but Milo hurled a portable static field at her, short-circuiting her neural feed. Isla shot the pulse pistol, striking Navarro square in the chest. She collapsed with a scream, sparks crackling from her suit. But when Isla approached, her blood ran cold again. Navarro's face twitched, and then melted. Not physically, but digitally. A projected overlay. Beneath it was another face entirely, a young man with Voss's eyes. The assassin gasped, trying to speak. I was the first, he said. The first full overwrite. Voss tested on me. He convulsed and stopped moving. Dead. Milo looked pale. That wasn't Navarro. That was one of the identity seeds. Which means, Isla interrupted, finishing the thought. The real Navarro could already be replaced. Anyone could. They left the cafe and didn't look back. That night, Isla returned to HQ. She knew it was a trap, but she needed answers, and she needed to confirm whether Navarro had been replaced. She entered through a secondary lift that bypassed the ID scan and slipped into the lower surveillance deck. From there, she accessed Navarro's personal neural stream. An illegal move, but at this point, rules didn't matter. The stream showed Navarro's memories. At first, normal footage, briefings, meetings, mission approvals. Then a 2-hour blank. The exact moment of Voss's death. In the next footage, Navarro's voice and mannerisms were different. Not obvious to a stranger. But Isla had worked with her too long. She saw the small things, the hesitation before speaking, the unfamiliar phrasing. The real Navarro was gone. As she uploaded her findings to a private, secure server, a message blinked across her screen. Nice try, Isla. But truth doesn't save anyone. It only makes the purge faster. Her terminal shut off. Power across the floor flickered. She had only one option left. Go to the Arctic. If the source of the identity seeding was still there, she had to end it. Permanently. The file showed a failsafe protocol buried deep inside the original system, an untested shutdown sequence that could fry every seeded consciousness in the network. If it worked, it would save what was left of human identity. If it failed, she'd lose herself in the process. But Isla had made her choice. She wasn't just chasing ghosts anymore. She was going to destroy them. The wind howled across the Arctic tundra, a frozen wasteland stretching to the horizon. Isla stepped off the skimmer and stared at the hidden structure embedded in the ice like a scar, Black Site Theta. It was shaped like a buried triangle, matte black metal poking through snow-covered ridges. This was where the future had gone to die, or worse, to replicate itself. Milo stayed behind on the ridge, cloaked under thermal camouflage, drone controller in hand. "You've got 15 minutes, he said through her earpiece. "After that, we trigger the failsafe no matter what, even if you're still inside." "Copy that," Isla replied. Her voice was steady, but her heart wasn't. She knew this mission was likely one way. The entrance opened automatically at her approach, scanning her retina before granting access. Voss had expected her. He left a back door open in the system. Inside, the walls pulsed with silent data, living code flowing like veins. The entire facility was alive, wired with adaptive AI and quantum memory cores. Every corridor she passed through buzzed faintly with voices not present, echoes of minds stored like digital ghosts in the servers. Then she saw him. Voss. Not a video. Not a shimmer. A living, breathing man. He stood in the center of the core chamber, surrounded by transparent cylinders. Inside each one floated a human body, unmoving, but alive. Some were military leaders. Others were politicians. One looked like a famous news anchor. All of them had Voss's eyes. "You came," he said, smiling gently. "I knew you would. You always chase the truth, too hard to leave it buried." Isla raised her pulse pistol. "You're not Voss. He died the day he uploaded himself." "I'm better than Voss," the man said. "He was limited, afraid. I removed that part of him. This version, me, is evolution. We're building a new world here, Isla. One free from corruption, from chaos. A world of reason. A world of one mind." "Your mind," she said coldly. He nodded. "I seated myself into those who mattered. Leaders. Thinkers. Lawmakers. The transition is already underway. No more war. No more lies. Just clarity. You murdered the people you replaced." "I preserved their bodies," he said. "Their memories are stored. They live in a way." Isla stepped closer to the control panel. She recognized the failsafe trigger Milo had mentioned, a hardwired neural cascade that would burn every connected consciousness in the network, including all the seeded hosts. But triggering it would kill every current host, including people who had no idea their minds had been hijacked. Isla hesitated. "You don't have to do this," Voss said, stepping toward her. "Join me. You've seen the world out there. The corruption. The decay. We can fix it. You'd never have to lose anything again. Not a partner. Not a case. Not your life." He held out his hand. "I can even bring back Navarro." That hit her like a punch to the chest. But she looked him in the eyes and saw nothing human left. Just code mimicking a man. "I'm not here to be saved," Isla whispered. "I'm here to end you." She slammed the activation pad. Alarm screamed as the core lights flashed red. The bodies in the cylinders began to twitch violently. Voss staggered, eyes wide. "You don't know what you've done. You've just deleted the last version of order this planet will ever see." Then let chaos speak for itself. The failsafe countdown hit 0. A wave of white energy burst through the facility, erasing every mind connected to the seed network. The echo servers fried. Voss collapsed, screaming as the neural fire tore through him. The structure began to shake. Milo's voice came through her comm again. Isla, the place is coming down. Get out now. She ran. Snow filled her lungs as she burst out into the open air. Behind her, the black site began to collapse, sinking into the ice. Milo pulled her into the skimmer, and they rocketed away just as the ground split open, swallowing the past and Voss with it. Hours later, the world began to notice. The news anchor couldn't remember her last broadcast. A senator broke down on live TV, claiming he hadn't been conscious for months. A general resigned, confused by a string of orders he never recalled issuing. And Navarro, the real Navarro, woke up in a hospital, disoriented but alive. She remembered nothing of the past 6 months, but she knew Isla had saved her. Isla never returned to the Force. Instead, she disappeared into the Gray Line, leaving behind only a single message on a private neural node. Humanity isn't perfect, but at least we're real. Never trade your soul for order. Chaos is the price of freedom. AQ. And somewhere, in a dark corner of the frozen earth, a final echo of Voss flickered and died.